Hello and welcome to Don't Call Me a Diva, the podcast. I'm Scalzi. I nearly gave you my real name then. I'm Scalzi, and this is Joshy. How you doing, big man?
Hey, brother. It's another Don't Call Me a Diva podcast. Of course, I'm doing absolutely swell.
It's all swell. Just going to warn everybody, it's going to be fast moving today, all right? First of all, and there's going to be a lot of stuff. We're going to try to get as much as we can in possible, but let's get on with this. So we are going to talk about the baddest bitch. We are going to talk about the queen of the death match. We are going to talk about Steph the Lander. We're going to start this off with this. As everybody knows, she started her career off in Australia. She had 11 matches, I believe, 11 matches in NXT. And she was I was just explaining a second ago, she was the Doc Gallows to Cole Anderson to Indy Hartwell in that sense. She was the bigger goon, and that was her character. And do you know what? I'm not gonna lie, I felt she was a bit part. She didn't really need to be in the product, and her not being there is not a big deal. But this is where I became an in-love fan. Not in love because she's a gorgeous woman or anything like that, but in love with her wrestling ability. XPW, all right, that's a blast from the past in some ways because of back in the day after ECW, but it was rebuilt, it came about, and Taya Valkyrie was the champion, and I saw her on a beautiful disaster pay-per-view, okay, versus Taya Valkyrie. She had this solid 8-minute match, and it was like, NXT, why were you not using her the way she is scrapping in this match? And against Taya Valkyrie, you know how I feel about Taya Valkyrie. I personally think she's one of the best in wrestling. And it sort of got me thinking, it got me interested in Steph De Lander. She was in BTI. BTI is the sort of like the before show of Impact. With Grace, she wrestled Deonna. Marina and AEW Dark. Yeah, don't get me wrong, they were all losses. They were all losses, but they were impressive losses. She had a bit of a squash match recently in Ring of Honor, which I was a bit like, I'm not sure why, but she kind of made her name against a wrestler me and Josh are a major fan of called Masha Slamovich in GCW. And I believe this was on Joey Janela's Spring Break 6. And this was a match that she was hardcore. You know the score. She was killer. She was beast mode. And she kind of changed, I think, about how people saw her. Because I think people were just kind of getting, oh, she's an OnlyFans girl now sort of attitude with her. But she came in and she kicked some major ass. We saw her at Effie's Big Gay Lunch, great pay-per-view. And I'm gutted that I missed the one that was over in the UK recently, actually, in all fairness. And again, she beat Mackay, great match. But what I want to talk about is that Matt Cardona has kind of adopted her. And actually, he's been a great mentor for her because she's gone from there to there in the sense of all her abilities currently in wrestling. And what I want to talk about with Josh today is what is next for Stephanie De Lander, or how do you solve a problem like Stephanie De Lander? So my boy, my man, what do you think? Because you're an NXT guy, so you can sort of like give me a bit more love in that sense.
Well, firstly, it's a really difficult one. And it's a really difficult one on the back of a banging question. How do you solve a problem like Steph De Lander? And you use the term problem very, very loosely. She's a problem because she's so talented. Now, she was heavily featured, as you broke down before the podcast, on average, one match a month on NXT Level Up.
Yep.
Being the sidekick, the Doc Gallows to Indy Hartwell. And we didn't see enough of her. If you're on NXT Level Up, you're probably being given anything between 3 and 6 minutes per match. Times that by 11, it's not a lot of wrestling time. Obviously, we never, the fans, the marks, we don't see what goes on behind the scenes. We don't see the training. We don't see the attitude. Is there a reason she wasn't featured more? There must have been a reason that we're never going to know as to why she was released in, I think, April 2022, I think. Yeah. So again, it's easy to speculate. But But as you've just said, Matt Cardona has adopted her. He's taken her under his wing. And what Cardona has been doing over the last couple of years has been some of the best indie work that I've ever seen, if not the best indie work that I've ever seen from an individual that's come away from WWE. You could probably put Drew McIntyre, Drew Galloway in there.
I remember with Impact, yeah, and what he did with ICW, yeah.
Absolutely. So for Steph to use her connections, not her connections, but to connect
She's friends with Chelsea Green, isn't she? So yeah.
Absolutely. So for Steph to be able to jump on board with that indie train of Matt Cardona that he's currently driving is amazing. So how do you solve the problem? It is tough. AEW is stacked, top to bottom. We know that. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, yes, people have got contracts, people are being signed, they're being featured. Now, what AEW do is they grab something good, they grab something popular, and they run with it. They run with it for a short time, and we'll see that person each and every single week.
Amen.
That's currently happening with, I would say, at least 2 of their top stars, taking away the champions and the big names, Sky Blue and Willow Nightingale,
Amen.
which I'll touch on a little bit later. They've taken their opportunities, then run with them. But they're now being featured almost every week on your Dynamites, your Rampages, your Collisions. So where's the time? Where's the space for someone else? So with Steph, and obviously the work that she's doing on the independent scene at the moment, it's going to be very, very hard for that individual to then jump on board with an AEW, back into the WWE, into the NXT scene. I think it's going to be very, very difficult. All I would say is continue doing what she's doing on the independent scene. The 1PW appearance with Matt Cardona recently, and yeah, absolutely, you know, the ring gear has changed over the years. We never used to see change of ring gear as we do now. You know, the artists out there are incredible. Ring gear.
TTD, I think, did that ring gear. British designer. He's from down your end, I think, actually.
Good.
Major. He does all the Major Wrestling Figure podcast guys stuff.
So good. And I think it's ring gear that grabs attention first. It's your look, it's your appearance, and it's what you do. So it is a problem, and I think it's a problem for fans to discuss more than it is for Steph, because she's probably just riding this wave. She's traveling.
Care, mate. I don't think she cares.
Worldwide. So no, she doesn't care. But there will be a point where she's going to go, actually, I'm doing the best work of my career. Who wants me? The obvious would probably be, at a first glance, AEW to grab her and take it on. But you know what? The way Impact Wrestling is going at the moment, and how they're highlighting their women's division, with continued storylines for almost everyone, at least. I'll tell you what, let's go. About 80% of the roster are being featured.
We'll go through that roster in a minute. I've got it in front of my face. We'll go through
it. 80% of that roster is involved with long-term storytelling in some way, shape, or form, instead of just having a match on Dark, a match on Rampage, a match on Raw, a match on SmackDown, a match on NXT or Level Up, etc., etc. So write it out, do another 12, 18 months of what you're doing, and then make that jump, but make that jump the right way. Maybe jump with Matt. If Matt is signed somewhere, hopefully Matt will say, "No, she's coming with me. We're a double act now," you know.
He's funny because that's one of his big things, isn't it? She refers to herself as a naughty word that I'm not going to say on it, but it's the 3 C's, isn't it? Cash, creative, and the naughty C word, and she classes herself as that. I think the interesting thing about Impact Wrestling is she's not a stranger to the Impact Zone. She's not a stranger. She has had 3 separate occasions there since being released. All 3 matches were fairly decent. She wrestled Grace twice, one in an Australian promotion where she took the title. Diona as well a couple of times. And also, funny enough, next weekend, she's fighting Killer Kelly. So in the Australian Impact Wrestling. So this is what I'm trying to say. So how do you solve a problem like Stephanie DeLanda? I think long-termly, she will have to jump to a promotion. She will have to, say, sign a contract. Do I think AEW is the right place? No. I think AEW, you can get lost in that roster very quickly. And a funny comment that I heard on a podcast this week, it seems like in AEW currently, it's a 1-in, 1-out situation. So Who's Sammy's mate that got released this week?
Sammy,
Sammy Guevara's mate, the one with the mask, the lad that wears the mask. He was on AEW Dark all the time.
Sammy Guevara, mate.
Sam, yeah, his friend. Yeah, who's his friend called? Well, he's in his like vlogs and stuff like that. Where's not his friend?
Not Serpentico.
No, not Serpentico. Del Rio, Del somebody. His friend got released this week, didn't he?
I'll be honest with you, going in blind, didn't know.
I didn't know. I can't remember his name, but a lot of people saying it's like a 1-in, 1-out situation currently. So you got to understand, if Steph did go into there, where would she fit in the roster? Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, and the amazing thing about Impact currently, I believe there's maybe 15 to 20 wrestlers on that roster in the women's, so she could walk in there easily, and she could take a major part easily as well, if that's on BTI or if that's on the Impact Women's Wrestling or something along the lines of that. So I think she's a major star. And as I said, the little bit at the beginning was, it took me a long while to be convinced by that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're right.
Yeah, no. So I was just trying to do a bit of information on
okay.
on the release for us, but I can't. I can see her. I think it's a female friend.
No, it's a male friend. I actually said on Twitter. I said on Twitter that he would actually be good on the flipping Impact roster.
I genuinely can't find it. The last update on AEW releases that I can find was the 2nd of May.
No, it was literally released a few days ago. Oh, mate, this is embarrassing.
We need this information. If anyone's listening, anyone's watching, can give it this information, because good old Safari and Google are just not giving it to me. Just not giving it to me.
This is the problem when you tweet too much, being me, because I've got like 400 tweets in front of me, sort of like where this possibly could be. I basically put on there he would actually be an all right signing for. He would suit the sort of like it'd suit the Impact lineup. But it was a couple of days ago anyway. But yeah, let's jump in, because I do. Have you got him?
No, I was just saying, news travels fast, mate. News travels fast, but too fast because we can't keep up with it.
We can't, mate. We can't. That's the problem. But yeah, I think should fit into that Impact women's roster. And as we said about today, I mean, one of the things that we wanted to fit into is talk about this Impact roster, this female roster, because of the big TV deals that are happening in the UK currently with Impact. And as everybody knows that is an Impact fan or a TNA fan, it was the biggest show in the UK for a long old while. People were tuning into TNA over other promotions. So is this the rebirth? I put a tweet out this morning. I think you might have seen it. 07 to 2013, the golden era. 2013 to 2018, the dark times. 2018 to 2022, the rebuild. And 2023, the return. And that's how I feel about Impact Wrestling. I mean, and I think the women's lineup offers that. And I mean, I've got it in front of my face and I'm looking there and I'm like, wow. I'll read these names for you. Alicia Edwards, man.
Read them out.
Alicia Edwards. Eddie Edwards' wife, people might know her as, but amazing talent. Courtney Rush, Rosemary. By the way, just a shout out to a guy that supports us and loves this podcast as well. GB did a great interview with her recently. Loves our podcast and gives us a shout out quite often. We've got Jessica Havoc. We've got your girl, Danny Luna, on that roster. We've got Horazo. We talk about her loads as one of the best. We've got Shaw, again, one of the best. Jodie Frett, wow, an aggressive beast. Okay, we've got King, we've got Taylor, the tag champions, and we don't need to say much on them because they're so good. We've got Kelly and Masha.
Killer Kelly.
And did I call that? Did I call that?
You got it right, man. Right. I was the first person that you let know that you called it right.
Oh, yeah, you.
Yeah. You got it, mate. You absolutely.
Frenemies, mate. Frenemies. And we've got Mickey James on there. We've got Evans. We've got Tasha Steeles. Surprisingly, we've got Sue Young still on there as well, which I haven't seen her in a long while. I was wondering but she's on the roster still. And not forgetting Trinity, mate.
Money. It's money.
That roster is so high quality of talent, and it's got a bit of everything. It's got the new, it's got the old, it's got everything. I mean, look, Kelly, Masha, Fret, King, Evans, and Steels. They're coming, all right. And then you've got flipping Mickey James. You got Trin, man. That breaks my heart every time that she's there, man. Because I love her so much. You got Rush, you got Edwards, you got Havoc, you got Shaw, you got all these other people in that sense. And I think the future of that roster is humongous. I think the future of women's wrestling is humongous, and I think because we know Impact loves long-term storylines, and as my boy said a minute ago, 80% of these wrestlers have currently got a storyline via, I'm looking there, Evans, Steels, and Sue Young. That's 3 out of 20 that don't.
That we can't think of.
That we can't think of.
Yeah, it's huge, mate. It's huge. I'm so excited for it to return to Sky Digital. Can't wait. Can't wait. It's just more wrestling to watch. More wrestling to watch, and it's easy to access because it is on Sky Go. I'm buzzing. Let's get it back. I just want to know what nights it's on. Did they say?
I don't know if it's been confirmed yet. So I think it's going to be late. I think it's going to be on a Sunday, so it will be a couple of days late.
Fine, don't care. That's perfect.
I mean, I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to watch it. So.
Yeah, I'll be there Sundays because I'm not an Impact Plus subscriber. I have so many others that I'm just like, I could pay for something else, but not be able to watch it at the time that it's live. Whereas if I just wait, but you're my Impact guy. You're the guy feeding me the Impact information. So.
But it goes to what we said last week, mate, about subscriptions. People should never feel that they should be subscribing to everything, because you don't have to. Subscribe to what you have a major passion for. It's like me, I'm not gonna lie. I said this on Twitter this week. I oversaturated myself for about 6 months with wrestling. So I've had to sort of like bring it down to a few shows that I'm gonna be severely watching like a nut job, in the sense of Impact's one, NWA, and I think AEW, and I'll try and I want to say Ring of Honor as well, but that's still 4 shows. You know what I mean? That's quite a lot of my week. So I've cut out Major League Wrestling, I've cut out bits of New Japan and stuff like that as well. So
on a mental health flip of a coin, on a mental health term, I used to put a lot of pressure on myself to watch everything going.
Yeah.
And it put a strain on me. It put a strain on my personal life, my working life. I was more interested in what was happening in the world of pro wrestling than I was my day job at one point, you know, and we've been there because we get addicted to this. So I will just say, watch what you can watch in the time that you've got for yourself. You can't always create time because everyone's got so much going on. And I know for many, and I know for me, that pro wrestling helps my mental health massively. I can come home after a mad day at work, and all I want to do is watch something for half an hour, 40 minutes, something new, something old, and just do it. But all I can say to everyone is, please don't put pressure on yourself to watch everything. Because you see the world talking about things. You want to be involved in that conversation. Just remember, do it in the time that you've got. Otherwise, you'll put strain on yourself. That's all I'll say.
Facts, man. Facts. But as we said, we think this Impact roster is just so good, and we can see some great things come in. I mean, I'm just going to throw this out because Josh is going to take over in a second. I want to throw my favourite match of the week, and then Josh is going to talk about a couple of matches that he's looking forward to. And then we've got, I think, any other business at the end in that sense. But yeah, man. So if you know about Impact Wrestling does something called BTI before. It's like a show that gives you what happened the week before, but it also gives you an exclusive match. So this week was Jody Fret versus Nival, and the match, just to say it's a very good match because Jody is one of them wrestlers that I know Scott D'Amour's Canadian, and I know she is Canadian, so he likes her a bit more than everybody else. That's the argument at the minute, isn't it? But she is a really high-hitting, sort of like suplex slamming wrestler, and it's all great mat stuff. And she has a great gimmick of sort of like an 80s punk sort of like feel. But the match is a hard-hitting match. It's a solid 3 out of 5. Okay, match. And it'd be my match of the week, the one that I've enjoyed the most, in all fairness. But I'm going to shove over to Josh, because he's got some stuff to talk about AEW, yeah?
Yeah, a little bit. Just
Go
a little
for it,
bit.
man. Go for it.
So I've just finished Collision this morning. I would normally get up for Collision live, but with Forbidden Door happening tonight, I couldn't do like 7 hours no sleep over a weekend, because we all need our 7 hours a night, if not more. So I'd be having 7 hours over the weekend. Not happening. So I've caught up this morning with Collision. Earlier on, I touched on Sky Blue and Willow Nightingale and how heavily they're being featured. Congratulations to both on being involved in the Owen Hart Cup.
Was awesome.
It's amazing. Sky Blue advanced earlier in the week on Dynamite.
Yep.
And I think Willow advanced last night by beating Nyla Rose, just making sure I've got my facts right. That was an Owen Hart tournament match. It was. So I've just got this feeling we're going to see Sky Blue and Willow Nightingale in the final of this Owen Hart Cup. They've been separated at each end of the brackets, one down here, one up there. So they're going to meet in that final. Sky Blue, Willow Nightingale, and I think Sky Blue is going to win it all. I think Sky Blue is going to win the Owen Hart Women's Foundation Cup, which I'm buzzing for. So good luck to all involved, of course, but Sky Blue.
That's my bet on that as well. But watching a lot of Ring of Honor, she has been treated like a top guy. And I think Willow Nightingale has been as well, but I think Sky Blue even more so. And I think after that unrestricted interview with Aubrey Edwards, you can see how they want her to get better and better and better.
And it's also great to see her happy in outside personal life with someone I know, Carl Fletcher. So that's awesome news as well. So really, really, just it's amazing to see. Moving on, obviously tonight, Forbidden Door. So at the time of recording, Sunday morning. So tonight, Forbidden Door, Willow Nightingale takes on Toni Storm, challenges Toni Storm for the AEW Women's title. It's huge. Is Willow taking the gold? I don't think so. But who knows? Willow right now is on one of the biggest roles I've ever seen in women's professional wrestling. So excited for that one. My prediction, Toni Storm wins. Outside interference, of course, from the Outcasts. Toni Storm will continue her reign into All In.
Stephanie DeLander, the Outcasts. Wouldn't that work?
That's the next episode.
So bang, I just went into my head. Sorry, keep going, man.
Listeners, viewers, tweet us your thoughts. Comment below your thoughts on Steph DeLander being involved with the Outcasts moving forward on AEW, because the look, everything.
Perfect.
Yeah, great shout. So yes, so tonight, Forbidden Door, Willow Nightingale challenges Toni Storm. I am going to go for the champ retaining on that occasion.
Definitely, I'm with you on that one, man.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think we can stall Toni Storm and the Outcasts at this point in time. My match of the week was from Rampage. It was Sky Blue versus Anna Jay. It
was a great match.
We've spoke about them both recently quite heavily. Since Anna Jay debuted, being very, very green, 2.5, 3 years ago, to who she is now, the aura that she brings, you can just see the vast improvements. I'm not going to sound like a broken record because you said it on the last show or the show before that, but Sky Blue, Anna Jay, my women's match of the week, easily. Also coming up this week is a huge one, and this is one that I think is going to divide a lot of people, and I want the listeners again to tweet and to comment below on their thoughts on Asuka versus Charlotte for the Women's Championship in SmackDown at the O2 in London this Friday.
Nice.
Gutted I can't be there. Absolutely gutted I can't be there. I think Charlotte dethrones Asuka in London, and then we get that build for Charlotte Bianca at SummerSlam, which again is only going to be 5 weeks away because it's early August. I think people are going to be divided by that. So again, like I said a minute ago, please tweet us your thoughts on Charlotte Asuka. Tweet us your thoughts on Charlotte Belair, or could it be Charlotte Belair Asuka? Triple threat at SummerSlam. Let us know your thoughts. Tweet us. You know the drill. Hashtag don't call me a diva. And comment below on this video with your thoughts.
So I'm with you this one, though. I think Charlotte Flair will take it. I think there could be more momentum with that title belt in that sense with Charlotte Flair. And who doesn't want to go to SummerSlam and have Charlotte Flair?
Detroit.
Yeah. Do you know what I
Detroit,
mean?
I'm buzzing for summer. SummerSlam's one of my favourite times of the year. The weather is beautiful. The wrestling is on. Let's go.
Do you know what though? We're of that generation where some of our earliest memories are SummerSlam Wembley, man. So it's sort of like we're that generation where we can just remember Bulldog taking that title. So SummerSlam to me, when it comes to WWE, is the WrestleMania. If you get what I mean. So I mean, yeah, I mean, you got some good calls there. So you're gonna go with Sky Blue eventually winning the Owen Hart. Great call, great call. You're gonna go with Tony Storm beating Willow, yeah. Yeah, I think that's a fair call. And you're going to go with Charlotte taking out. Let's remember this, guys, as well. I'm not going to say anything because I've been wrong every single time. Okay, every prediction I've thrown out. In all fairness to Josh, Josh has got them all right, man. But the one that I'm interested in the most, surprisingly, is the Charlotte Flair one because I've said to you before, Charlotte Flair's marketable. Okay, I'm not sure if Oscar is. That's my perspective. But I know we had a little bit of a sort of like about that one. But yeah. But yeah, sort of like let's just be honest, man. What's coming up? This is a bit of a funny episode because we're trying to fit a lot in, all right? But it's because we're in an evolution point of where me and Josh are sitting and how to do this in the future and how we want to do it. So we've got a couple of minutes left, okay? And Josh is going to fill you in what's going to be going on the Let Me Talk to You.
Yeah.
Yeah, on YouTube. Do you know what? I still can't do it. Eli Drake. That's all that's in my head. Still, when he does it, no. Yeah, but we're going to talk about the evolution for the.
Hang on. Skull Z talks. Yeah.
Yoshi on Collision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, let's go. Evolution of the brand.
Go for it, man.
Okay, right. Evolution of the brand. So we've had a lot of fun with Don't Call Me a Diva podcast. We're just getting into a bit of a routine. But pro wrestling is so good. It's so wide. It's so vast. We don't want to just be nailed down to one subject. However, what we will say is the Don't Call Me a Diva podcast is the most important thing to us. It is the number one factor of our brand. Now, what we're going to do to evolve, to continue to move with the times, is every single week, the Don't Call Me a Diva podcast will come to you over a weekend. Now, everyone has lives, Saturdays, Sundays, kids, etc., etc. We do what we can, half an hour to 45 minutes, Don't Call Me a Diva, discussing the week, as we have done so far. To our network, which I'll get onto in a moment, we are going to include Skullsy Talks Impact. Yeah. Do. So Skullsy Talks Impact, and that is going to come probably every Friday morning from Skullsy himself. That's him right there. Now, a lot of my favorite wrestlers in AEW are going to be featured every Saturday night on AEW Collision. So what better way for me to go Joshi Talks Collision, baby. And that episode is going to come to you every Sunday morning as well. They're going to be shorts. They're going to be 10, 15-minute shorts for your short commute. Just my review of Collision, Skulls' review of Impact. And like we said, they're going to be shorts. We're not going to hold your time up. But if you want to hear our thoughts, two passionate pro wrestling marks, that is what we're here for. And that is all going to come together. So the Don't Call Me a Diva podcast, Skullsy Talks Impact, Joshi discusses Collision, all on the Let Me Talk to You network on YouTube.
Yeah,
that is where you can find us. We're going to sort handles out. There's a lot happening this week. It's all going to happen at a fast pace. So that is going to collide into that, which is exciting for us. Now, I just want to add one last thing. There is going to be, if you follow me on social media, I like to discuss a lot of things, mental health. I think it's a huge thing, especially within this industry. Past experiences from all of us and people that haven't had deep experiences, unfortunately, in time will have those. So I'm going to be continuing to produce mental health shorts. And if you do follow me, you'll see that I have a Feel Like a 10 t-shirt coming out very, very soon. Now, the key to that is There's a competition that's live, ends tonight, Sunday, the 26th of June, 25th of June. If I was to reach 2,000 followers on Twitter, I would be giving away 10 free t-shirts with 25% of my cost going to the mental health charity Mind. Now, we're not going to quite hit those numbers. Absolutely fine. So we're still going to give away 5 free t-shirts with 25% of my cost going to the mental health charity Mind. Now, from the 3rd of July, this t-shirt will be available, men's and women's fit. Men's and women's fit, 3rd of July, with 25% of all sales going to the same charity, Mental Health Mind. So let me talk to your network. It's coming large.
It is going to be big, all right? And listen, guys, tune in because we are going to be more consistent. We are going to be putting our product out and we're going to show love. Don't call me a diva. If one of us can't make it, one of us will fill the gap with a highlighted wrestler or something on the lines of that. Joshy talks Collision. Scalzi talks Impact. Yeah, it's good stuff. So I want to thank anybody that's listening now. Okay, all right. This episode's been here, there, and everywhere, but that was the point of it. So thank you very much, and we will talk to you all soon.
Peace.
Peace. Peace. If I can get this button.